Director Hatcher.
Here.
And Director Marquez.
Present. Thank you very much. And just want to welcome everyone and just do a friendly reminder that we continue to meet virtually due to the orders in place by our governor. So I am now going to open up for public comments. If you would like to be recognized, please raise your hand. This is your opportunity to speak on items that are not listed on the agenda. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak under public comments? I'm going to just check the attendee list. I don't see anyone with a raised hand. Does staff see anyone or?
I do not see anyone.
Okay, thank you. So we are now going to move to our action item. The first action item is approval of minutes from our last meeting held on October 14th. The draft minutes were attached to our packet. And is there a motion to approve the minutes, or does anyone have any corrections?
I'll move approval. Also second.
Wonderful. All in favor of adopting the minutes as presented in our packet, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. And that motion passes unanimously. They've been adopted. The second item is a discussion and approval of our new Board of Trustee chair. It's been an honor serving with all of you, and really want to thank staff for their hard work. This is our opportunity to kind of switch gears. It's a new year. Also, East Bay Regional Parks is going to be taking over managing these meetings. So I don't know if we need a formal nomination, but I would like to nominate Trustee Waspy to take over as our chair moving forward. Is there a second to that? You can second.
Yeah, I'll second Trustee Waspy. I think it's a good choice.
Thank you. All in favor of our new chair being Trustee Waspy, say aye.
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 Aye, and that passes unanimously. Congratulations. And I'll now pass the virtual gavel over to our new chair. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Alyssa. And thank you so much for your leadership this past year. It's been awkward and odd and weird. And I know that especially with HASPA, it's great to meet out there at the Shoreline Interpretive Center, see what we're doing, see what we're trying to accomplish, and see people in person and see the Technical Advisory Committee. It's been very difficult, but you've done an excellent job, and I appreciate you taking that role. You know, if I may have some leeway here, I'd like to diverge a little bit. The Regional Park District is, as we always do, taking over administratively. So I know we've got some new players here. So I think if you're a member of, well, we've introduced the trustees, but could we administer or let's start off by introducing yourself if you're a member of East Bay Regional Park District support staff. And I see we've got 21 people here. There's some new technical advisory committee members, and we also have a new I think it's technically in our next meeting, we'll have a new trustee, or 6 months from now, or whenever it is. But I would like to introduce Eric also. So John, why don't you start?
Sure. Thank you, Director Waspy. John Holder, Senior Planner with the East Bay Parks District. So I'll be helping facilitate these meetings moving forward, and just wanted to say thank you to the City of Hayward for facilitating these meetings the past 5 years. That's a lot of work, and they've been very supportive in the transition. So just thank you again, and looking forward to working with everyone.
And I guess so. Matt Grohl, I'm the Chief of Stewardship with East Bay Regional Park District. I serve on the Technical Advisory Committee for the Park District, and also wanted just to thank the Hayward staff over the last month or year. I mean, or I guess throughout the whole master plan. I guess the staff's done a great job, but I really appreciate Taylor and Eric's work over the last 6 months or so, really helping us with this transition and just implementation of the plan in general. We really appreciate all their work, and it's been great working with them on the TAC.
Gail, I know you're there somewhere.
Yeah, hi, Gail Still. I'm an administrative specialist. It's my first meeting here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, Brian.
So we're going around, okay, so waiting for an introduction or what? Hi, good afternoon, trustees. My name's Brian Holt. I'm the Chief of Planning for the East Bay Regional Park District, and I lead the planning department. John Holder stepping in and capably going to be administering moving forward. You may see a bit more of me moving forward and a bit less of Matt, as Matt will be focused on some of the technical end, and as we move forward looking towards implementation of the Shoreline Master Plan, planning, and looking forward to contributing more on that side. So happy to be here. And with that, I'll let Devin Reef, our principal planner, also introduce himself.
Good afternoon, Board of Trustees, members of the public, and staff. I'm Devin Reeve, Principal Planner with the Park District. Very excited to take on this opportunity for the next few meetings to administer HASPA. And thanks again also to the staff at the City of Hayward for supporting John in this transition.
Thank you. I'm guessing now that that's the end of the regional park district folks. You know, it's great. I would introduce everybody, but I can't see anybody. I'm only seeing a couple of people's heads on the screen. So if you feel comfortable, I know we have some new technical advisory committee members. So technical advisory committee, don't be shy. Jump in.
I can go first. I'm Taylor Richard, Assistant Planner with the City of Hayward Planning Division. It's been an honor to help facilitate the role of HASPA, and we're happy to pass it over to East Bay Regional Park District and look forward to continuing to be involved on the TAC. And I'll pass it off to my colleague at the city, Eric.
Thanks, Taylor. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. My name is Eric Pearson. I'm the Environmental Services Manager for the City of Hayward and a member of the TAC. Thanks. I think that's it for Hayward. So maybe Brian at Hard.
Hi, everyone. Brian Lasko here. I'm Assistant Director of Capital Planning and Development for Hayward Area Rec and Park District, sitting on the TAC or Hard, all by myself.
Great. Well, thank you. So I'm guessing that's it. Unless, well, we'll get into that later. And then obviously no one's going to assume Mark Taylor's seat. We probably should have a screen with his statue on it or something. But anyway, we'll move forward with that. So, okay, thank you very much for stepping forward and introducing yourselves. We'll move right now to, I'm going to ask for public comments again. Seeing or hearing none, we'll move on to the reports of the Technical Advisory Committee. And we have some planning project updates. And who will be the lead on that? Taylor.
Dennis, it looks like we do have one public comment.
Excellent. Oh, pardon me. Okay. I can't see it, but John, if you can identify that person.
Yeah. So Kelly, if you want to go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Since
this is the Hayward Area Shoreline Committee, then our planning agency, the agency oftentimes doesn't look very hard at what's happening on the San Leandro shoreline. I won't go back and talk about, I won't talk about that right now, but I will talk a little bit about what's happening right to the south of you, just over in Union City and in Newark. And there are shining examples there, two of them, or actually several of them, of what not to do when it comes to housing development. These cities are so desperate to build housing anywhere that they can find flat land. So starting with Newark, they've got about 6 acres. They're going to put, I don't know, 30 units on 6 acres or something like that. It's a landfill right now. So they're going to dig out the landfill, remove about 3-4 feet worth of garbage, move it to a nearby landfill, and then fill it in with fresh dirt to bring it up to some level, and then build all the housing there. Newark is doing a very famous thing called the what is it? The ironically named Sanctuary West. development, which is actually like 4 or 5 developments they've just now announced. The latest one is going to go in an automobile wrecking yard. Each one, they're going to raise up the level of the earth by bringing in mountains of fill, like 10 feet or something, to get it 10 feet above sea level. So these kind of things are spectacular examples of what not to do as sea level rise comes in. But if with the right EIRs and with the right legal decisions and court rulings, one of them even got approved at the appeals level recently. So these things are still happening, and we can't stop them. Hayward isn't doing it very much that I've seen, not lately. So let's try to keep an eye on. Let's try to stop doing this so we can mitigate the damage in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelly. So moving right along, let's go to the planning project updates.
Director Trustee, may I just intervene here just to go backwards a bit? I just wanted to announce that I was going to be stepping down here on HASPA. Since we're doing introductions, I'd like to do a reverse introduction. We're rotating with some of us on our hard board. So Director Hodges was going to become the new trustee with HASPA as a hard representative. And I've been here in one form or the other for the last 7 years, working with some really great folks to do what we've done. And I just want to thank again staff and the rest of the trustees that I've worked with over the years to accomplish a really enormous feat. There's a lot more to get done, but I'm really proud of what everyone has put forward here. And now it's go time. So I really look forward to hearing what you guys are going to be doing moving forward. And I'm always here available for any insight from the past. So I just wanted to give that announcement.
Well, thanks, Rick, and we'll miss you very much because it is true. You've been incredibly active. I know you spent a lot of your younger days on the shoreline, and you've grown up on the shoreline, and you have a lot of insight to that. And I truly appreciate you sharing that with us. And we'll miss you very much and look forward to Paul, but hopefully listen in on some of these meetings and continue to advocate for the shoreline like you have in the past. Thanks so much. Okay, so someone from the Technical Advisory Committee is going to tell us about the Amazon last mile delivery station, I'm sure.
That would be me. Hi, everybody. I'm here with the city on behalf of the City of Hayward Planning Division to give some updates on some projects along the Hayward shoreline. All of these projects have been seen by the Board of Trustees before, so I've just come back to give some quick updates. The first being the use permit for the Amazon last mile delivery station at 2695 West Winton. This application was formally withdrawn and closed on November 10th of 2021. So there will be no longer any updates on this project moving forward. Okay, our second project is the U-Haul development at 4150 Point Eden Way. On December 14th, the City Council held a public hearing on this item and directed the applicant to continue conversations with labor groups to explore options to locate a Welcome to Hayward sign on the site, clarify how and where historic materials will be used on the site, and to provide additional explanation on the environmental topics of future sea level rise, storm surge, and bird strikes. This item is tentatively scheduled to go back to the City Council in late January or early February. The third project is the Logistics Center at 25450 Clawwitter Road, also known as the former Berkeley Farms site. The project was approved by the Planning Commission on December 9th, 2021, and was not appealed. The applicant has submitted for grading permits, improvement plans, and building permits, and expects to start construction later this year. The fourth project is the Duke Realty building at 24493 Clawwitter. The project was approved ministerially on December 2nd and has not been appealed. The application is ready to be submitted for building, grading, and improvement plans. And the final application is the industrial shell building at 3636 Enterprise. This project is a 200,000 square foot industrial building on a 10-acre site, requiring major site plan review and a conditional use permit. The project has been deemed complete on November 10th, 2021, is currently undergoing environmental review pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act. The project is tentatively scheduled to go before the Planning Commission in June of 2022. Those are all of the project updates at this time. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions or comments from board members? Any questions, comments from staff, or anyone from the public? Hearing none, I guess my only comment would be, I think it's really interesting, and I sort of jokingly, I was wondering, it's interesting. Did Jeff give us $1 billion or more to enhance the shoreline for the Amazon place? And in a serious note, I'm seeing there's lots of development going on the shoreline, and it's not old pick apart junkyards and things like that. These are some pretty sophisticated industry leaders. I'm wondering if I know it's not our purview, but I'm wondering if at some point we can say, listen, you're putting all this stuff on the shoreline, you're getting to build your industrial areas and do your business down on the shoreline. It's such a beautiful place. Can you help us enhance that shoreline in any way by, I know there's like 4 different streets, but they could be connected by trails. They could be connected by recreational enhancements. And I would be hesitant to ask somebody at a junkyard or a pick-apart place or a landfill. But now that we're putting stuff on the shoreline that is pretty, well, I won't suggest that they're employee friendly, but I bet there might be an opportunity, is what I would hope in the future, that maybe we could tap these folks to enhance that shoreline that they've made their homes.
Trustee Waspy, could I just kind of enumerate on that? Something that these are the same projects that have been put in front of us for the last good year plus, and we have spoke in detail about having the city hold them responsible for at least some perimeter amenities to their properties, and putting some trails for, as we mentioned, for their internal folks as well as for folks to be able to use from the public. And obviously that's something that we've brought up many times. In this arena, we need to keep bringing up these concepts. And I'm aware that the city knows what we've brought up, and I just always want to get that confirmation from city planners and city staff that you are holding the applicants responsible for some of this. And as you facetiously say about Bezos, that the conversation when we were doing the master plan was to be including some of the business districts and some of the culpability, which I know hasn't quite been fleshed out or been able to be done. But at least within the design review, the city staff is aware that we have brought these concepts up. And I don't need you to kind of patronize and saying like yes, we've done it, but I just with Taylor and Eric on board, I've known Eric a long time. You guys know how important this is for our community moving forward, because once it's built, it's there for a bit of time. So I just want to continue to have you guys keep on that from the staff and planning level, holding to the highest standard. I don't want just minimums. I don't want just they've achieved it. I want to exceed standards, and so that's kind of my motto with development moving forward, that they exceed the standards. So thank you.
Can I comment, Director Waspy?
Please, yes, thank you.
Yeah, Rick, I will take it back to my staff. We definitely know that trail connections are important. In the industrial zone standards, they are required to connect to trails and any sidewalks that exist around their site. So it's definitely something that we keep in mind, but we'll continue to keep pushing that point.
All right, if there are no further comments, thank you for that report.
Chair, I have a comment.
Pardon me.
It's okay. Do you prefer that we just visibly raise our hand? I know it's the technology, the raise the hand feature. I'm not sure if you're able to see that on your end, but so I just wanted to say I really appreciate Taylor being here, and I am confident. I think we're very fortunate in the city that She has so much experience with adopting the adaptation plan and just her level of expertise. And then now that she's over in development services, we have that continuity. I think our staff does a pretty good job, but I think her level of expertise and experience is just going to strengthen that advocacy work. So just thank you, Taylor, for doing that. Thank you for speaking up. And I will keep that in mind. And just another general comment is, as the representative of the city of Hayward, we are going to be doing a retreat on the last Saturday of this month where we look at our strategic initiatives, kind of what's been working in the last couple of years and what we would like to bring forward. Because of COVID, because of just challenges with staffing and just capacity, we haven't been able to push a lot of things forward, but I will be bringing up the concerns of this body in terms of future development and seeing how we could strengthen having more regulation behind actually adopting our plan and ensuring that these new developments are mitigating the issues of sea level rising. So you guys have my word and my commitment to push that during the strategic initiative, which is the proper venue to bring that to the entire city council and get support to move it forward. So that's the first step, and that will be happening later this month. So I'll keep everyone posted on that as well.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any comments, further comments on this? Hearing none. Let's move to our next item, which is the San Lorenzo Bachman Levee project update. And I think we have a guest speaker today, Jason Warner. I'm sure, Taylor, were you going to introduce him or who would? I'm very happy to share my relationship with Jason. We've worked together for many years. I was on the Castro Valley Sanitary District. We share the treatment plant down there at Orloma. And Jason, gosh, I was trying to think, have you been there 20 years or it's been pretty close? But what a great relationship and what a great thing you've done for Orloma and really got us community oriented and doing some wonderful things down there. And I'm happy you're here to share those things.
Yeah, definitely happy to be here, Director Waspy, and certainly have enjoyed our times, prior with Castro Valley and being able to kind of watch you from afar with East Bay Regional Parks and certainly with HARD. So I was going to give a little update on this project. And so maybe I'll share my screen. I think, let me get there.
You'll be able to share your screen. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, great. So basically, we're partnering together with HASPA to submit a FEMA grant for one of the projects that was identified in the Hayward Master Plan. And so I'm here today to, just kind of give you a status report on that. The project, as it was named in the Hayward Master Plan, was called the Orloma Interim Levee, and it's Project 1A. And I guess in my mind, I thought that designated that it was the highest priority project. And I'm not sure whether it just was random and alphabetical. So I don't know whether, Eric, you can weigh in on that, but at least in my mind, it's the highest priority because it's near and dear to our facility. So in the Hayward Master Plan, there were 14 short-term projects. I kind of took the liberty and said the highest priority project was located at the northern edge of the Hayward Master Plan boundary. And generally the area is bound by San Lorenzo Creek to the north and the Bachman Canal to the south. And the area includes the Orloma Sanitary District, the treatment facility, which is also owned by Castro Valley Sanitary District. And there's a critical PG&E substation, as well as a bunch of industrial businesses down in that area that employ a lot of people. So, I think everyone's familiar with this cover from the Hayward Shoreline Master Plan. These are the short-term projects, and this project 1A is shown here. And basically you can see the Bachman Canal, which is here on the south, San Lorenzo Creek to the north, and then the treatment facility is here at the foot of Grant Avenue in San Lorenzo. So this is kind of what we're chasing. And so we partnered with HASPA, and I think between the three members of HASPA and Orloma, we put together about $80,000 to do a feasibility study to advance the idea that was presented in the master plan, and also do something that's really important for the FEMA application, which is to prepare a benefit cost analysis. In really round terms, the benefits of this project are about $90 million and the costs are $40 million. And so just that ratio of 2 to approximately, I mean, we get down to all the rounding, it's 2.12 to 1. So for each dollar we spend protecting this area, we receive $2.12 back in benefits. And from a FEMA perspective, this is a really high quality project, that it's something that has a very high odds of being funded. And so let me spend some time orienting you here. So again, the treatment facility, I think for this audience, you're aware of the horizontal levee demonstration, which is shown here. We have Bachman Canal and San Lorenzo Creek. Basically, we'll tie into the existing levee that's at elevation 14.0 on San Lorenzo Creek. And there's a kind of a peninsula that's formed by the area between the canal and San Lorenzo Creek, and we'll tie back up in the railroad. I think on the southern edge, we're thinking of going down a little bit lower at 13.3 because you don't get the storm fetch at this location along the shoreline. So we could build it slightly shorter and save a couple dollars. So kind of I learned a bunch of lessons in going through this effort. I think, there's so many sophisticated people on this call. Maybe these are lessons that they knew, but at least for me, one thing that we had to do was prepare a local hazard mitigation plan. And so, kind of after signing the initial contract for $80,000, Orloma, kind of just to make this happen quickly, has gone forward and prepared a plan. We have sent it out for public review. And the next step is to have it reviewed by first Cal OES and then FEMA proper. We have the transmittal queued up, and this will probably go out in the mail either Friday or Monday and start 2 45-day clocks. So in about 90 days, we'll have made it through both of the Cal OES and federal FEMA review, and then we plan to adopt it. Having just achieved that milestone, you can start getting in line for the FEMA grant. And so we've kind of satisfied the local hazard mitigation plan. I think, maybe a lesson for people on this call, both the county is doing a local hazard mitigation plan, and I know the cities do them. And then I believe also East Bay Regional Park, but either folding up under one of those existing processes, they happen about every 5 years, I think would be a wise move for HASPA in the future. And then also getting these projects named. So, there's 14 short-term projects that are named in the Hayward Area Master Plan. We ought to start getting those listed in all the different local hazard mitigation plans that get considered through this project. So anyway, just if I put myself in the HASPA board seat, you want to know that this is proceeding well. We are with the local hazard mitigation plan and definitely have pointed that plan to the different master plan projects. The other step that you need to accomplish, which is again going out this week, is the notice of intent to submit an application, a grant application. And so we have that all prepared and just need to kind of put the stamp on the envelope to send that to FEMA. We have a separate contract signed for the FEMA application, and so we're preparing that, and that's on track for a March submission, March 2022. And again, just kind of like putting the Vegas odds, and we're talking to the consultants who may have some vested interest in giving me better numbers than less. But we're looking at about an 80% odds of success in the grant application. And this is a big chunk of money. We're talking about $20 or $30 million that might come to the Hayward shoreline. So basically, I want to end by saying thank you. I think for many years, I think I took HASPA for granted, that it just kind of somehow just happened and was always there. And I think over the years, I've realized that it's because people are really thoughtful, work really hard, kind of just rally and try to do something better than each of the individual agencies can do themselves. And so I have a great deal of respect for the work that HASPA is doing. I'm glad to have like one tiny sliver of moving this vision and this effort forward. So definitely want to say thank you and would be open to any questions that anybody has.
Any questions from any trustees? Oh, pardon me, Alyssa?
Yes, thank you, Jason, for your presentation and your helpful tips. I'm glad you're confident that we will secure funding for this project. For some reason, if it doesn't get funded this go round, does it stay like on a priority list, or just how does it work in terms of timeline, and when will you find out if we've received the funds?
Yeah, to the first question, my experience is, let's say in a case where we don't get it, you learn the lesson. You figure out what they didn't like about your application and you tune it in a way that you're successful next time. So we'll just get back in line. I think the window opens every 6 months. I think that, all the work that HASPA's done lands at a perfect time in history where there's a lot of infrastructure money coming from the federal government. So I think the pot is going to be richer than average. And this is the exact project they want to be done. Things that are integrated well with the shoreline. There's a plan. People have been talking. And so, I'm optimistic. And if not, we'll just repackage the application. We'll tune it in a way that we think will make it more successful. And my experience is either the first time or second time, we can get money.
Okay, and then what is the plan, assuming that all goes well and everything lines up and it is a good timing for this project? Do we have a plan in terms like of a press release or just getting the information out there? Because we're working really, really hard to expand the JPA and to get more partners so we can actually get these projects online. So do we have a plan in terms of kind of public outreach and getting the information out?
I'm taking it one step at a time. I think a press release would be the natural thing to do. And so I'm going to solve one thing at a time. So we'll get the money, and then absolutely we will celebrate this and kind of make sure that we get the press involved, have a press release, and communicate that the good work of HASPA is bringing money back into the district, and we're going to get good work done.
Great. Thank you so much.
Rick?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Jason, for the presentation. It is so true. I mean, we just can't not say strength in numbers, and especially when it comes to grants. I think that, as you've talked about this coordination, having one of the few master plans along the entire Bay shoreline is just a huge benefit. And it's just a variety of great opportunities that are ahead. Specifically, you mentioned the local hazard mitigation plans from each of the different entities. If you or anyone else on the line may be able to talk about, you talked about that coordination. That is a critical piece in my mind about making sure that, not only are we applying for these as a coordinated group, but, with plans. Is there ways to continue to, or is that just being done? They're all being kind of coordinated, at least discussed.
Let's see. I would probably ask Eric to give his perspective, and maybe Matt with East Bay Regional Park, but I guess I can't speak for anybody other than ourselves.
I'm so sorry. Could you please repeat the question?
Eric, we were talking about the local hazard mitigation plan, and I was saying that, Hayward writes one for themselves, and so I would expect you guys to be wholly integrated. But at the time that we got to the point where this project needed to be identified in a local hazard mitigation plan, the smoothest path was just to have Orloma create its own plan and its own independent thing. But had I had the forethought of 5 years ago, I would have made sure that we rolled up under the county's plan and kind of had all this integrated that way. So
I think if we had gotten started a bit earlier, I think we could have done a more collaborative effort. I think when we realized that the Orloma Sanitary District was not already covered by a local hazard mitigation plan, the city had already started the process of updating its own plan, and I think the same was true for the county. So hopefully it's a 5-year cycle. The plan has to be updated every 5 years. So maybe the next time around we can cut costs a bit and do it together.
Great. That makes complete sense. So I appreciate that kind of staying on your guys' radar, and I know that that would help. And just one thing that we're always just so under the gun here with at the shoreline is the permitting process. And I mean, not that, Jason, you're going to have the nuts and bolts about, has that come up in the grant applications about, the cost of being able to push this levee project through based on the permitting issues down at the shoreline? Or is that, and if that's a little bit outside of what your presentation is, that you're more than welcome to say that, but permitting for this project.
There's $2 million budgeted on 40 for permitting. My feedback to the consultants is that feels a little light.
Yeah.
Maybe the argument against that would be we have some room to rope the protection in to the existing development. So within the treatment plant boundaries, we can kind of retreat away from the bay. And then a lot of the areas along, say, Bachman, there's already there's a pretty wide levee there. And so we may, through a better structure of a levee, be able to tighten it up. And so certainly that all come out in the design. So we'll balance the kind of the less expensive and simple way against a more sophisticated structure. And we'll just engage with the permitting folks and find out what the right trade-offs are. So I think there's a path, and I'm one that's, and with my collaboration with Jackie, I feel like permitting is the driver for everything. That all the technical stuff's easy, all the money's easy. We can get all the money, we can solve all the technical problems. But if they just say you can't do it, then that's hard to overcome that.
And that's just been, even before I was around, listening to Mark, Taylor talk about, and we talked about, bundling the permits. So I just think that's always going to be there. And I think, us working together, we talked about bringing in our legislative teams, our assembly people, to kind of work on that. So just kind of keep that in front of you guys. And last comment is just, I love when a consultant throws out 80%. So we're paying them, you're paying them good money to come up with those percentages. So I'm really looking forward to this being a success. So thanks for the presentation.
Great. Yes. Any other comments from anybody on staff or public? I see none. Jason, thank you so much. I am totally confident that you and your staff will get this grant. There's no question. You guys are so technically great, and engineering wise, Oral Loma will pull us through on this one. I'm very, very confident, and I look forward to this. And we talked about collaboration, and we continue to talk about that, and hopefully you find the value in HASPA. But I think the value in HASPA is and having been in the area, you guys do incredible work, and the fact that you're familiar with the shoreline. Let's face it, you've been discharging treated wastewater into the San Francisco Bay, the jewel of our community, successfully for all these years. So I'm convinced you'll get that permit. We talked about, getting publicity for it, continuing the good relationships with this. I would hope you would lean on the Regional Park District and hard in the city of Hayward. We've got great public relations teams who do parties and do press releases and things like that, because this will be a great, great event. So I look forward to it. And thank you very much for your presentation.
My pleasure. Thank you, Director Waspy.
All right. Our next item is our next item. Our next item is the expansion of the HASPA JPA and administrative lead discussion. Taylor, is that you again?
I'll kick it off, and then John.
Taylor and I are going to.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Taylor.
Okay, perfect. Hello, everybody. I'm happy to present an update on the expansion of the HASPA JPA. So since our last meeting in October, the HASPA TAC has met with staff from Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District, Caltrans, East Bay Dischargers Authority, Oral Loma Sanitary District, and the Bay Trail to discuss next steps regarding the expansion of HASPA and to gather input on the future JPA agreement. Lots of those staff members are currently in this call. So as a result of those discussions, the HASPA TAC is now seeking guidance on the expansion of HASPA, specifically related to the governance structure, membership dues, and potential additional member agencies. So first, I will start with some background on the governance structure. So HASPA's member agencies currently have one member serving on their board of trustees, have staff serving on the technical advisory committee, and rotate the role of facilitation and management of HASPA every 5 years among the 3 member agencies. All of the prospective agencies have expressed interest in having staff serve on the TAC. However, some agencies have expressed concern over appointing a trustee. Appointing a trustee is challenging for certain agencies that do not have elected officials they directly report to, or have current HASPA member agencies already represented on their boards. For this reason, staff is considering a 2-tier membership structure, with certain agencies being solely represented on the TAC and other agencies being represented on both the TAC and the Board of Trustees. Another concern of some of the prospective member agencies is the role of facilitation and management of HASPA due to the staffing and time requirements needed to facilitate that role. For this reason, staff is considering having that role be rotated among a subset of the member agencies who have sufficient staffing and resources to fulfill this role. Staff is also considering having a professional part-time coordinator be responsible for this role. However, the practicality of that depends on the number of member agencies and the operating budget of HASPA in the future. I'm going to pass it off to John Holder to talk about membership dues and additional member agencies.
Great, thank you, Taylor. So I'll just be going over briefly the membership dues for HASPA. So currently the annual operating budget is $36,000 with each member contributing approximately $12,000 to HASPA. Staff is considering changes to this requirement to ensure budgetary needs are met, but no agency is burdened by the costs. Furthermore, staff is considering different contributions for different membership types if a 2-tiered membership structure is implemented. So that's something the board can discuss. And then to go touch upon additional agencies, the prospective member agencies suggested are the Alameda Flood Control District, Alameda County Flood Control District and the Capital Corridor be included in HASPA. Staff is currently still coordinating with the Alameda County Board of Supervisors, the director of ACFCD, or the Alameda County Flood Control District, and also Hank Ankerman regarding the Alameda County Flood Control District joining HASPA. However, there has been no direct response yet from the Flood Control District, so we're still waiting on a response regarding their membership. Staff also reached out to the Capital Corridor regarding joining HASPA, and they've expressed interest in getting involved with the HASPA TAC. However, they noted they have very limited staff capacity. If I recall, they only have 3 planners for the whole corridor. So they're very limited. Staff will continue to include them in communications and keep them involved in the conversation. And finally, that's kind of concludes our update. So we're here to answer any questions, and the attachment includes the memo that summarizes kind of the outreach the TAC and staff has done over the past couple months.
Great, thank you for that presentation. Any trustees' comments or suggestions? I think that is our charge. Alyssa.
Sure. I appreciate staff's time and energy on this. I know it's something we've been working hard on for a long time. I do think I'm open to the 2-tiered approach. I think, we're hearing concrete feedback from the presentations that have taken place. I want to acknowledge and thank Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District. I know we're still going to work out the specifics of the JPA, but up to this point, they have identified a trustee to join. So that's positive, and maybe through their experience, we could build upon that momentum and then eventually get others to come on board. But in the interim, I definitely don't want to lose the partnership, the collaboration, and the expertise with the different agencies we reached out to. So I think it does make sense at this point to approach the two-tier system and also look at hiring maybe a part-time staff person. I'm open to the idea of the coordinator as well. I think that would help simplify things. And then not at this juncture, but at some point, maybe we need to revisit the facilitation of 5 years. That is a rather long time. So maybe that's something that could be modified. I think we just need to be fluid with this. The goal is to expand the partnerships, the collaboration, and leverage our collective resources and expertise to actually compete for funding and get these projects into construction phase. So I think at this point, we just have to remain a little bit fluid, and I'm glad to see that that's what staff is recommending at this time. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to build upon the success once we get our first project built. So thank you.
Rick?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think the two-tiered, I mean, especially when you have an agency that does not have board of directors, especially like, flood control. I mean, we can't have a supervisor potentially. Well, we could, but that probably wouldn't happen. So I do support a two-tiered approach. But I think any agency that does join, that does have an elected board, we'd have to have, I think that would just be a natural fit to be a voting member because they do have a board. So that would be my recommendation, that if they did have an elected board, that would be a potential requirement to have a representative from their elected position. The coordinator, I think, is it's incredibly important. I know that a big cost of all this is our agency staff time on this. And I think as we get more into the master plan process, that's going to become even more robust, as in the time that's going to be required, as well as hiring consultants. I think that, as we move forward, we're going to really take a look at, the grant opportunity and then using potentially our own consultants. So I think that would have to be a concern. Trustee Marquez mentioned the 5-year. Is that being proposed as a membership time? I thought that was just how long we, as founding agencies, hosted. Would the membership be year to year, or is it actually a 5-year term?
I don't think we've had that discussion yet. I think it's still up for communication. Yeah, but historically we've had 5-year JPA agreement lengths.
Okay, got it. Okay, that sounds good. So that can be discussed. And I'm just gonna. I looked at the list of agencies that have come on board. At first, I thought Caltrans wasn't on board with us. I do see their name on the list that are interested. And so I'll have a second part of this question because I'd like to kind of know what Caltrans thought about their role in this, though it's large in my eyes. But one agency that it just has to become a part of this. And I know that you said you don't have a decision from the Alameda County Flood Control District. And I know that in the last meeting, I talked about, the trustees potentially, talking with our other electeds about really the gross need for the Flood Control District to heed what we're doing because they're all over that. They're all over the area down there. So I want to thank staff for staying on that. And, I know your hands get tied if there isn't a response, but I will again lead the charge to reach out to our electeds to talk about that structure. Thank you.
And I can note quickly about Caltrans's role. They have expressed no interest of being part of the Board of Trustees, mostly because it would be difficult for them to pick a trustee and stuff, but they've expressed interest in being part of the TAC and kind of being part of those conversations and helping advising on projects.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be difficult, but I think we ought to continue the process of asking. And I think, Rick, if if you look at the agenda packet, those were the agencies we asked. There are some agencies that have shown interest, and I think there's really only one. And you guys tell me, John or Taylor, if it's inappropriate. I'm looking at Eric, and I'd love to introduce him and congratulate him and his agency for their great forethought and everything else. I don't know if that's appropriate, but somebody nod. Okay, that's great. And I'll conclude my comments because I think we should to keep trying. This has been a long process. I remember HASPA years ago when it was just a bunch of real sweet activists in the environmental community that were trying to preserve the shorelines and did an excellent job in what they did. And then all of a sudden they were continuing to fight for the good fight for the shoreline. And then all of a sudden we got into sea level rise and billion-dollar bills for what we were doing. So it was a little tougher to do the right thing. So it's going to be tougher to get more people involved. I think good people like Oraloma and some of the people that are getting grants and doing good things, I think this will we'll move in the direction of continuing to do the right thing and get more people to come. I'm not sure how we want to, the administration, I don't think 5 years was probably just a number somebody threw up in the air 30 years ago. If it's, things are more complicated now, 3 years, 2 years, whatever works for agencies is probably going to work. And I wouldn't mind, I don't have the ability to volunteer on the Park District's behalf without talking to staff and everything, but let's face it, we're the biggest agency. The Park District might do 5 years. The mosquito abatement might able to be 2 years, or another agency might be able to do 1 year, but at least, get a trustee in there, get involved. And I think when they see the value of this agency and what we're doing, that I think people will want to join us after a while. And I think some changes in county staff will probably might facilitate our goals. And so I think we should continue to do the ask. I was thinking I don't know, this isn't the time to brainstorm, but, people like Cal State, East Bay, and Chabot College, I don't know what they could offer. I don't know what they, I've got a lot of ideas of what they could offer, but I mean, if nothing else, interns to do work for us that were, this is a great experience. If I were an environmental studies intern or a climate change intern or something like that, what a great opportunity to come down and work. And I'm not suggesting for free, but there is a program. Cal State East Bay has a program of internships with the Regional Park District. And we also have that relationship with San Francisco State University. So these partnerships work and they get more people involved and they get more people interested. And I think it's still, I consider it a great opportunity. That's my 2 cents worth. I think we'll ask for public comment. Is there any public comment or any staff comments on this?
Dennis, I just want to kind of just continue on that because I want to acknowledge the San Jose State students that were a part of our master plan process outreach. And I know that you kind of put, Jason on the spot about the outreach about, and same with the trustee Marquez about, hey, let's get this out to the public. And I think that always needs to be a part of this conversation because, as we start going for the funding and when you do have that translated outreach, you can have the folks involved. And I agree with the students. I think the Hayward Youth Commission is another good kind of a target to be a part of a discussion about this. So I just don't want to ever lose that as we're technically going through with these plans, that I think getting buy-in and then you get more people advocating and being aware of what we're actually accomplishing. So I just want staff to always know an outreach project, you should be contiguous with what we're doing with the master planning process.
Great, thank you. Well, so I'm very happy about this. I think this is HASPA's been 3 agencies for a long time. We've asked for expansion, and it looks like it might be a little premature, but I don't think it is. The Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District is going to be come on as a full trustee, and I'm not sure the timing of that, but they look like we're working towards that, and I hope it happens. I would like to introduce and maybe put you on the spot, Eric Henschke, who is a member on the board of directors of the Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District. Eric, thank you for being here. And geez, say hi or tell us anything you want to tell us about, or do you find it, what do you guys find as a value of joining HASPA?
Oh, I can't speak to that immediately. I think Eric could do a much better job than I can, or Elisa could, both of them. But it's nice that we're involved because mosquitoes live where you're working, and it's nice to be involved on that level so we can help out as any way we can. Become a participant in some of your decision making that affect mosquitoes and mosquito populations out there. But it's an honor to join you guys. You know Elisa well, and you know Erica well, so it's nice to join such esteemed people and represent for Alameda County mosquito people. I'll tell you more later.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to a great relationship for years and years to come, and some great successes on the shoreline. No other comments on this? Staff, go forward. Keep getting recruits. This will be great. As I lean over to my notes. Oh, geez, what are my notes? The next item is now the Bay Adapt letter of support from HASPA.
Great. So I'll be presenting that item, Director Waspie.
Okay.
So in October of 2021, the San Francisco Bay Conservation and Development Commission, or the BCDC, adopted the Bay Adapt Joint Platform, which is a new regional strategy comprised of 9 actions, 1 tasks that will protect the natural and built environments from rising sea levels throughout the San Francisco Bay. And these actions identified include calling for an alignment of local and regional plans for a unified adaptation approach throughout the San Francisco Bay region. And these proposed actions and tasks include the Bay Adapt Joint Platform, which is a platform that agencies can go to and collaborate on that will help support implementation of actions and projects that will help to adapt to rising sea levels. And this joint platform will also help support implementation of the Hayward Regional Shoreline Adaptation Master Plan and kind of general HASPA goals in adapting to sea level rise. So the BCDC requested that HASPA submit a letter of support for the Bay Adapt Joint Platform to kind of show support towards that regional effort to adapt to rising sea levels. And included in the attachment is the draft letter. So staff is requesting that it's reviewed by the board, and if you have any comments on the letter, feel free to share those comments. So that's the summary, and we're here to answer any questions on the Bay Adapt platform. But if you haven't checked out the website, it's a great website. And most agencies, or many agencies throughout the Bay Area, have either already supported the Bay Adapt Joint Platform or submitted letters of support. And I believe the city of Hayward already has as well. So with that, I'll conclude kind of my presentation on the Bay Adapt, and here to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. I hope all of the trustees have seen the letter. Does anybody have any comments or suggestions on the letter? Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, no, I just
Chair, I apologize, but I don't have the letter. I'm looking on. I'm sorry.
Go get it. Alyssa, you're breaking up a little bit. It's part of the attachment, or it is an attachment to that item on the agenda.
So I'm looking at the agenda and I don't have any like hyperlinks or nothing to click on, and I'm looking at my email. So if staff doesn't mind just resending it, I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm not going to access it. Thank you.
I can send that over to you.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, no, I obviously read the letter and, support sending it in the form it is. And it really is just the whole idea that we've been talking about, the coordination of efforts, being able to affect change more dramatically. So thanks for putting that together. And definitely as this goes forward, I think we should all kind of keep a good eye on this as this group moves forward. So thanks for putting that together.
Yeah, I also am very supportive of this letter, and and it's a great letter. I'm always blown away by that figure that I keep seeing, that the Bay Area, the East or the Bay Area shoreline is 1/3 of the California coastline. I mean, we've got 535 miles of shoreline in the San Francisco Bay Area, and that's 1/3 of the entire coast. It just blows me away. And then the next sentence, which is that 2/3 of the damage from sea level rise will occur in our Bay Area. So it's important. I think it's a great letter, and I look forward to us sending this along. And once again, more collaboration. So thank you very much. And is that I didn't see if that was a resolution, or will a nod work, or would you like a formal vote to send this letter forward?
I think if the letter looks good, it can go ahead and be sent. We could vote on it if you'd like. It's kind of up to you.
Well,
what do you guys think?
To accept the letter so proposed.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to second. Any discussion by anyone in the group? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion
Aye.
passes unanimously. Thank you very much, staff, for doing that. And
I'll work with you, Director Waspy, to get your signature as chair on that.
Excellent. Great. Thank you very much. Okay, that brings us to the reports of board members or trustees. Does anyone have anything to bring up? Anything for the good of the order?
Nothing to report, trustee?
Nothing. Thank you, trustee.
Nothing. Okay. I will let you know that the King Tides were last week, and on January 2nd I got a chance to walk on the Hayward shoreline. It was another great example. I wished we could have got a meeting down there and bring some people down there. There's nothing better than taking a hike out from the interpretive center and walking out on the levee and timing it just perfectly. So you're walking out on the levee, everything's good. You can see the tide coming in and it's getting a little higher, and getting out to say, oh, well, what is it? It's not Cogswell Bridge. I forget what bridge it's called out there, but you're about 1.5 miles out and you start coming back, and you come back and there's no longer a trail. I mean, you can see the trail, but it's covered with water. It's an amazing sight, and it goes the tides go really, really high on that Hayward Shoreline Interpretive Center. It's a great example of what's going to happen, and a great interpretive tool. I hope we can get down there someday. But that's it. So setting the agenda for the next meeting. Does anybody have any agenda items, trustees?
I would just appreciate maybe just a standing topic like we've had from staff, just an update on the outreach efforts, just if we could continue to keep that as a focal point, just getting updates on how those conversations are evolving would be my request, please.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
And do we have a kind of like a timeline? And I know we've talked about it, but to basically kind of get the folks involved with this so we can kind of get the bylaws revised. And so just kind of give me an estimated timeline that we're looking at for the recruitment, and then subsequent bylaws and the membership dues, and what's our look.
I can start and let John follow up. So our current JPA extension runs through June of this year. So we're hoping by then to have a new executed JPA agreement with the new members.
Great, thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Hearing nothing. Maybe if we have a little time, and maybe I'll talk to staff about this. When people bring up, I keep thinking we have lots of technical experts. We have lots of engineers doing projects and smart people, but unless somebody can tell our story, it doesn't get out there. And I'm wondering if we could look into possibly maybe an intern from some place of learning or somewhere where we could maybe, I'm not suggesting we're not telling our story well, but just publicize it more. I noticed there's, I remember when Foster City got lots of publicity about how they were arming themselves against sea level rise, and it was just driving in sheet piles. I think the stuff we're doing is really creative. I think our master plan is very creative, and obviously we all know how good it is, and we know how important it is. And there's been a few articles, but I think we could publicize it more and show what we're doing. I'd like to at least look into possibly exploring that, see if there's some possibilities there.
Dennis, could that kind of pony on the concept of involving the schools, the colleges to do a video project about what this is, what we've done, what others have done, really the history of HASPA. I love books. But I'm not saying necessarily write a book, but doing really a project and how that. Obviously, we couldn't do it, and we don't really want staff to look at it. But just maybe getting a request for a proposal, for some group, student group or other to come and have an outline. I think that could be an interesting subcommittee, conversation for HASPA moving forward, because that will, do as everything we've talked about with outreach and potential funding source opportunities.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I haven't thought it through, but I think there's tremendous opportunities if we could engage the youth and students. We could. Why don't we have a Save the Hayward Shoreline group of people that goes out and picks up litter, does great things, studies the shoreline, make T-shirts, make hats, do everything, publicize the Hayward Shoreline. I think we have every right to do that, and we should, because we have a lot to be proud of down there. But again, another discussion for another day, probably. So if there's no other further items, we're approaching adjournment, but I always like to give a chance for some folks to come in late. Any other open public comments from the public or staff or anything for the good of the order?
Not seeing any other public comments, but just to confirm, for the next meeting, just the only agenda item for now is the kind of standing update on staff expansion efforts.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here and taking the time, and welcome to all the new folks, and welcome to the East Bay Regional Park District folks that are coming to help us out, and have a great weekend. Take care. We're adjourned.
Thank you, Chair. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.